just honestly with people that I trust. I mean, I trust everyone here, but there's been very personal things that I've had to give up, like, you know, design control of Dawn. I don't know that game anymore like I used to know that game. And that's really kind of difficult to see someone else take your baby and start messing with it, and you can't oversee everything. So we have weekly meetings with all the teams. We have scheduling meetings with all the team leaders and a lot of stuff like that. So I spend a lot of time doing that. A lot of time just we're still trying to be very aggressive, but in different ways now. We're trying to look kind of outside of the normal box stuff that we've done. We spent the last year and a half really looking at different platforms. So that was just so critical to our growth of this company. We're at the point now that Facebook is less than 20% of our total revenue. A year and a half it was 100%. That's significant, and Facebook hasn't gone down over that time; it's gone up. So to find all these other revenue sources has been really, really important. Congregate was huge for us; it still is huge for us. And finding Armor games. You know, we actually have a game on KBM. We have a game on Plinga. We have, you know, just stuff kind of gotten games just everywhere at this point. So focusing on those other opportunities outside of just making a new item that will sell well in the game this week. That's a big part of it. We all have, the management team here, Braden and David and I, we all have kind of different roles that we fill and different things that are important to us. My big thing is really company culture, so I actually spend a lot of time on that, making sure, you know, we have a game night every Thursday night, and it's here at the office, and we play all, you know, a bunch of those board games. You know, making sure that we're having those when people are coming. I know I've only missed like one or two, and it's out of the country. And making sure that we're organizing team activities enough, and that we're just really kind of keeping that culture strong. That's just personally very important to me. So I spend a good chunk of my time on that. A really good question that Joe had here was some of our successes and failures, and what I would do differently. I mean, first off, there's really nothing that I would do differently. The failures you learn from. So I try to look at the positive of all of these things. That's actually something we talk with our team about a lot. You know, it's not about, you know, whose fault it was, or you know, who's going to take the blame for this. It's we're going to learn from it and we're going to move on. You know, I tell especially the design team a lot is that, you know, we don't get upset when they make mistakes. It's just when you make the same mistake twice, 3 times, or 4 times that we start to have a problem. So learning from those failures is very, very important. Not getting hung up on them too much. We do have now at this point like build postmortems when something goes wrong. We have the project manager write up, you know, collect data from everyone, from all the sources, let us know what happened. And that's more just for us to have a historical reference to this, because we deal with issues like, oh crap, that happened 2 years ago. I totally don't remember what happened or how we fixed it, or, you know, why it was even happening in the first place. So that's for us to kind of keep track of, but also for us to kind of stay informed, since we can't be part of every build. I think I've actually talked about the early successes, the stuff that we really did, just looking for the right people and all of that. I think that's kind of the big stuff. I think I'm kind of over. There's other stuff like, you know, kind of where things are going from here. I think social is still really big. People have, I think, exaggerated about the demise of web-based games over the last year or two, and said everything's going mobile. Mobile's huge. Mobile's going to continue to be huge. I use my iPad and iPhone every day. I play games on my iPad almost every day. But web's not going away, and so we're one of those companies that haven't shifted focus completely off of it. You know, it's done very well for us. It continues to do well. We're actually starting to see kind of a shift back towards that. It's really interesting as more and more people are getting out of the crowded landscape that is mobile right now, because you're fighting for shelf space. You're not the top 25, you're not the top 100, no one's going to see your app. It's almost like Walmart again. If you don't have a branded game, you don't have dollars, no one's going to find your game. Whereas on the web, you put it on Congregate, they're going to promote it, put it on Facebook, people will find it, they'll share it. So there's still a lot of opportunity on web. But mobile is still very big for us. Our mobile team is, you know, still just a handful of people for us. But it's continuing to grow, especially, like, you know, we've only had the game out a few months now, and it's been very successful, especially the last few weeks. Yeah, where we're going from here is just continue to do what we're doing. We are moving buildings here. that was the kind of surreal. There's been many surreal moments throughout all of this, but I think we released a press release or something about we're moving the offices, and for some reason the business journal wrote about it. And I posted to Facebook like, I don't even understand why this is news that we are moving offices. And then that day we had 3 different news stations call. 2 of them came out that day to interview us, and the next day the other one came out, and we were all in the nightly news on 3 different stations here. And it was just. I didn't understand why that was news. Like, we do all this other really cool stuff. We're getting a new office, and it's just it's all over the news. So apparently that's important. But it's like for us, it's an inconvenience. It's because we just don't have places to put anybody here anymore. I mean, we could put him here, but it's not part of our culture. We're not just trying to stack people in. We want room to have game nights. We have our player councils here. We have all of the offices in the back that need to be set up for video games. I don't want to stick someone in the back. That would suck if that was where you had to sit. So we're moving to an office in Rockland 6 to 8 weeks once it's done being built. It is an inconvenience, but it is actually kind of fun. This is the first time we've been able to kind of custom build an office, so we have a lot of cool stuff that we were able to design. I think our kind of rec area is about 3rd or 4th of the entire office. It's gonna be cool. And it allows us to be able to continue to grow at our pace, continue to have people come in, continue to have the same culture that we want. I'm sure we will host events out there. I'm not going to spoil any of the surprises that we're going to have, but it's going to be a fun place to work, a fun place to hang out. Did I miss anything, Joe?
Could you talk maybe a bit about how important the community is to our games?
That's great. I did miss that. Community is extremely important. Actually, I did touch on it very quickly and never got back to it. I think that's outwardly facing. That's one of the biggest things that I can point to what makes us different, and advice to other game companies on what to do is that we spend actually a lot of time and resources on our company. We have a dedicated community manager for every one of our games, and then we have a lead community manager above all of those. I did a pie chart not too long ago on my time, part of trying to answer the question of how I spend my time. And I actually spend 20-25% of my time on community management, which kind of seems silly, but it's really, really important to me. We call them player councils. We've been doing it for a couple of years now, and we've had about 10. And what it is that we take a handful of people from one of our games, and we fly them out to this office for a weekend. We sit around this table right here. We spend basically Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday with them, talking about the game that they play. So we've done, I think 10 of them. We just had the Dawn one not too long ago. That was the 3rd one for Dawn that we had done. We do them every about 6 to 9 months as kind of keep them fresh and keep people that are relevant to the game at that point. And we actually try to get a very big, a broad scope of different types of players. So we bring in a whale, someone that has spent an insane amount of money in our games. We bring in a free player that has never spent in our games and has no plans to. We bring in someone that's really focused on PvP, someone that's really focused on guilds. We really try and make sure that we hit on all the different things that are important to this game. And we did it the first time kind of as a reaction to players just flipping out when we made some change. And it was one of those things that I kind of felt it for a while. I was like, we really should have seen that coming. We should have known they were going to flip out. We could have done things slightly differently. Everything would have been fine. And so that's where the idea of the councils came. Let's just get some people in here. Let's talk to them. Let's get on the same page, and then we can kind of just get feedback from them. They can warn us before we really screw something up. And it just kind of evolved into this this process that's now, we have daily interaction with all of our councils across all of our games. So the project manager and community managers kind of run these now at this point, even though David and I have been at every single one. We really value what they say. We've gotten a lot better at selecting council members too. We show them design docs while we're out here, things that we're working on. We give them an agenda ahead of time with the stuff that we go. It really is work, and we try to prepare them for it, like just the brain melting that's going to happen while they're here, because they're just like, oh yeah, I can talk about video games, that's so cool, and they just think it's going to be fun, play all the time. But when you're sitting down and trying to work out a problem for 10 hours in a day and 10 hours the next day, it takes a lot just mentally out of you. But it's just so very valuable to us. And then we stay in contact with them on Skype every day after. So we still to this day just get a ton of value out of them. Like stuff that goes live, it's going to go live in a couple of days, and we'll get feedback from our council first, because we don't want to spoil the surprise to everyone. But they'll be able to tell us, yeah, I know if tweak this thing this way. And it's not usually, we're not going into certain numbers on formulas, but it's just intent. We talk so much with the council about intent. This is what we want to do. How does that feel? Like, what does that motivate you to do? So the councils are cheap. I mean, they cost us 10 to 15 grand per council, and we're doing one. It feels like every month, but it's almost like every other month. It's probably close to every month we're doing that, and it's a weekend out of our lives. We talk about that work-life balance. That kind of throws it off a bit, to be on, because we need to still get the builds out on time and everything else during the weeks. But it's just so very, very critical to what we do. We're on our forums all the time. I think I have personally 8,000 posts between all of our forums, some crazy number, much less recently. But we have, our community managers, between them have another 25,000 posts between all these games. They're on there every single day, and that's their focus. So that's been very critical to our success. It was actually, we were live with Dawn for 2 weeks, and the game just completely crashed. Like, we could not figure out what happened. It was a Friday build, and throughout the weekend, we just could not get the game going. And we were just, understandably, flipping out, not sleeping, trying to fix it. And that was the first moment that I knew that we were going to be successful, because people kept spending money. They couldn't play the game, but they were still buying currency in our game. And they're like, oh, you guys will fix it. You guys will do great. We believe in you. I'm going to buy some coins. And I was just like, it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, that's when I knew that we had something special. And that's when I knew that the time that we had spent talking to them and listening to them and giving them feedback, meant more than just like, it was the right thing to do and the thing that we wanted to do. Playing EverQuest and World of Warcraft, when you would post on the forums and a blue post would come up from, a Blizzard dev, you would just flip out. You would want to read it. Everything they said was just so awesome. And so we took that very seriously when we were the people that were responding to them. And it was just really great to see that it meant more to them than we probably could have anticipated. And so that's been really important, something we've kept up, and something that I think has really helped with just our financial success. People see that we're invested, that we're not going to, shut down a game after 6 months because it's not, as profitable as we had hoped. So that's been huge, and it's just something so core to who we are as a company. Good question, Joe. Anything else critical that I missed before we start some Q&A?
We're good. No, we're good.
Okay. Questions and answers.
Do you take your customer feedback literally, or is there sort of an interpretation process there?
There's an interpretation process. Actually, in one of the forums, my signature is like saving you from yourself since 2009. So, because people, don't always know really what they want. But that's where we really dig down to intent. Like, you say that you want this thing to be cheaper. Like, we could do that, but really, what are you trying to get at? Like, why do you think it needs to be cheaper? It's not valuable enough? Okay, well, we can change the contents to make it more value. If you're just looking for value, we can do that some other way than just like cutting the price in half, because then it's probably still not valuable. So that's something that we just kind of drill into, people's heads here all day, is that intent is what's important. So it's definitely not literal. Good question.
If you have two candidates that you're gonna hire, and both of them are already technically proficient, and they're very passionate, what do you use beyond those two criteria?
It's a good question. Our hiring process has evolved a lot over time. We actually have an HR manager now, which was a recent hire and another sign that things have changed a bit around here. Funny story, like before that, like I can count on a hand or two how many times I hired people on the spot. It was like, hey, I just mentioned the first time you applied, okay, you're hired, go. And so we've kind of changed that a little bit, which is good. But actually, most of those hires worked out pretty well. But it is kind of, it goes back to what that was during that first interview. It's just that kind of, you get a feel for someone. So this is where again where David and I differ, is that I would say hire both of them, and David would be a little more conservative about that, because we're always looking for good people, and if they're really just that great, then we want to have both.
If they're really that great, I agree. We hire them both. But in terms of, for me, if you're talking technical stuff, it's the thing we value over, or I value over anything, is the ability to learn. So you could have two people that have the exact same technical background or the exact same technical skills. The person that can learn better is the one that I want. Because in tech, there's if you can know something, be the greatest person in the world at a specific language, but tomorrow it's going to change, and tomorrow something new is going to come out, and you gotta learn it. And if you don't teach yourself, then no one's going to teach it for you.